Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here, bringing you my thoughts on the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 10, Terra Firma, Part 2. For those of you watching my videos for the first time, the first part of this review is spoiler-free. I'll give a warning and then get into spoilers. So to start out with, of course, the episode continues on directly from last week's Terra Firma Part 1 and centers primarily around the character of Georgiou. There were some questions last week as to the nature of some of the things, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that those questions mostly get answered this time around as far as the nature of exactly what's going on and how it will affect Georgiou's life going forward. I really want to call out the performances in this episode. There's one scene in particular between Saru and Georgiou. Keep an eye out for that one. Incredible performances by all of the actors involved. I'm really feeling the emotion. Also, I have to say, Sonequa Martin-Green, that woman has amazing range and plays an amazing role in this episode as, of course, the mirror Michael Burnham and the one that we know and love from the Prime timeline. So, yeah, lots of really interesting things going on in this episode. I think I'm going to get into the spoilers pretty quickly. So I'm going to wrap up to say definitely an amazing wrap up to last week's beginning of the two-parter and a really cool entry in the ongoing story of Discovery. And I feel like 3 seasons into the show, we're getting a real kind of mythology of Star Trek Discovery itself. It's really finding its place within the Star Trek universe and at the same time crafting its own mythology as deep as a lot of the other series. And to see this episode kind of go back to some of those touchstones from earlier seasons, it really puts into perspective how far this show has come since season 1. So here we go, getting into spoilers now. If you haven't watched the show, you may wish to click away. So like I said, the show picks up from last week's episode with Georgiou in the mirror universe, seemingly, after having gone through the door presented by the mysterious Carl. And we see her plan when she spared Burnham at the end of last week's episode. She wants to put the mirror universe on a path to become more like the universe we know, the Prime universe. At one point she says, you know, I've seen what we could be and it is luminous. And you get this real impression that Georgiou has deeply and fundamentally changed. She's not an entirely different person. She's still been crafted and molded by growing up and living in the Terran universe, but her time in the Prime universe has changed her fundamentally and allowed her to see what could be, rather than just accepting that the Terran universe is the way things must be. So she attempts to break Michael and bring her onto her side, not kill her, as happened the first time around, because she wants to kind of rule the Empire with Michael by her side and usher in this new era together. And it's really interesting to see how far that character has come and how much she has changed. And we come to understand that the only language that Michael Burnham understands in this universe is the language of terror and fear and that sort of thing. And so it's not going to be a question of, you know, trying to convince her with words, but instead having to break her, which is really unfortunate. And I have to say, you know, I didn't buy the fact that Burnham had turned and was now loyal to Georgiou. I was suspicious, and I was a little worried that Georgiou wasn't, and Georgiou was fooled. But of course we find out that no, she never truly trusted Michael and had an eye on her and had backup plans and stuff. And that's where we get kind of Georgiou and Saru, this kind of what I almost feel to be the meat of this episode, the heart of this episode is, you know, Saru is going to be the mirror Saru, I should say, is going to be going through Vaharai, and it's Georgiou who reveals to him that Vaharai isn't the end and he doesn't need to be culled. He will come through the madness on the other side stronger, like Saru did in our universe. And that scene between the two of them is just absolutely beautiful. I just, the acting by both of them, especially Doug Jones as Saru, just puts in one of his greatest performances of Discovery, which is saying a lot. He's an incredible actor. But in this episode, the panic that he shows when he realizes how far Georgiou has strayed from what's expected from her as a Terran emperor. And, they'll kill you. You need to go back to where you came from. And he starts panicking. Just incredible performance. Just a beautiful scene that really did move me. So, of course, Michael inevitably betrays Georgiou, but Georgiou, like I said, has backups, and we get to see the Kelpians, led by Saru, coming in, weapons firing, and defending Georgiou. And it ends with, Georgiou stabbing Michael with a sword, but Michael gets a knife in Georgiou's neck, and they both die. And Georgiou is laying there dying in Saru's arms. And we get this zoom in on her eyes and then a zoom out, and we see her back on the planet from the last episode in front of Carl and Michael Burnham. And it's this moment that I think had all the fans just, had me right on the edge of my seat and kind of going, yes, and cheering, was when it's revealed that Carl is in fact the Guardian of Forever. And we get that, the voice, I am the Guardian of Forever. Great scene, great reveal. I think a lot of the clues were there, and it definitely was set up, but it makes sense. Like, it all kind of, it works, I feel like. The kind of heartbreaking history of the Guardian of Forever as well during the temporal wars, how he had to kind of hide himself and move because people were using him to kill other people. It was, you get the sense of this long history and the kind of heartbreak that the Guardian went through, seeing himself being used in this manner. So yeah, some interesting stuff there. I'd love to see this again. I think it's not something you can trot out all that often. You want to use something like this very sparingly. So I don't necessarily want to see an adventure of the week with the Guardian of Forever, but it was great to see that entity personified like this. And I think it was really well done. I really enjoyed that. So we get back to Discovery, and we kind of pick up a few of the little threads from last week where, they're trying to figure out the signal from the Kelpian ship and all this stuff and get in the systems through the back entrance. And Book ends up helping by bringing some Emerald Chain technology to bear against the problem, which, they have a bit of a problem with, but, it works. And as Book says, he made himself useful, as Saru told him to last episode. Where the kind of conflict comes in, however, is Vance's reaction to this, where he's very, I'd say, displeased or very trepidatious about using this technology. It's this scene here, kind of a flip side, a mirror image of the scene last week where Vance was imparting these leadership lessons to Saru. This week, I felt like he was very much micromanaging Saru and really questioning his decisions, and Saru was kind of being cowed by the Admiral a bit and, not really allowed to make his own decisions there. I don't know, I could be reading that situation wrong, but it really felt like Vance was really trying to kind of manipulate things. I'm not completely off the idea yet that the Federation could turn out to be kind of baddies this season. We don't really know, and there's that line by Georgiou that I really noticed, where she says to Michael, this universe, this time you find yourself in is more Terran than you're used to. So just a little bit of a seeds of, maybe things aren't as hunky-dory in the Federation as we think they are. So yeah, I definitely noticed that and kind of was thinking, like, could that be a bit of a clue? I don't know. Maybe I'm latching on to nothing here, but it's really something that I am wondering about. One thing I also want to talk a bit about is the departure of Georgiou through the Guardian of Forever. She goes back, presumably to the past, back to a time when the universes were more aligned to be able to not have this condition anymore. And it really, of course, feels like the setup for the Star Trek Section 31 series with the head writers Bo-Yeon Kim and Erica Leipold, who, of course, co-wrote this episode as well. So yeah, it felt a little bit like Carl, the Guardian of Forever, was kind of giving the setup for the TV show a little bit. said, oh, you're going to have challenges. You're going to save a lot of lives, and you're going to do this and this, and you're going to be useful. Just step through. And then Georgiou has the line talking about the backstory of the character San, which was mentioned in the Discovery novel Die Standing, and we saw a little bit of flashbacks. We're not going to get the answer to that story in Discovery, but presumably in Section 31. So Burnham says, tell that story to the people you meet next, or whatever. So just very kind of obvious setup for the next series, but that said, I'm really excited for it. So I think more so than I was before, just with this kind of setup. I'm curious to see where it goes. I can see some potential with the changes that have been made to Georgiou's character and how she's evolved. I'm curious to see where it all goes. The end of the episode, we get the kind of crew's farewells to Georgiou. They're toasting her. I really liked Saru's toast. I really liked especially Burnham's toast, I think. She's an incredible actor, and this scene is perfect. And I think, there's a lot of mixed feelings and jumbled up feelings with regards to Burnham and Georgiou. But, she does say, you're my Georgiou. You're not that Georgiou, but you are my Georgiou, and what I'm feeling, I feel for you. This isn't, for someone else, for the prime Georgiou. This is for you. And that toast, I think, was really lovely. Where I come into question, though, is the other characters toasting her felt a little not so genuine. None of these characters really had a lot of scenes with her. Tilly's I can buy. Tilly's toast, I think, was really good. But like Detmer and Owoshikun, I can't remember if Owoshikun gave a toast, but Detmer did for sure. And even Jet Reno, I don't know. I'm not really buying that they had this kind of, I could see them kind of appreciating her, I guess. And, the toasts, they're lovely, but I'm not buying a lot of the emotions, but that's okay. It's a fun scene, and it's a nice farewell to the character. I felt more like it was a farewell to Michelle Yeoh from the show than it was this mirror Georgiou, who kind of was mostly an antagonist to these people. Speaking of Jet Reno, though, I do love the return of her this episode, having been gone for a few episodes. Just a nice little brief scene with her in Stamets' lab, chewing on some licorice, just being her cranky self, and then a little bit at the toasting of Georgiou at the end. So it was nice to see her back. I know she'd had some medical issues and stuff. I don't know if that's contributed to why she's in the season less, but I was aware that she was, missing for quite a few episodes. So hopefully, hopefully we see more of her. We've only got 3 episodes left, though, which is kind of shocking. This season's gone by really fast, but I'm really excited. We've got the next episode coming on Christmas Eve, and then the next episode coming on New Year's Eve, and then one new episode in 2021. So it's coming fast. We had those 23 weeks of Star Trek, and we're down to just 3 of them. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. I'm looking forward to figuring out what this whole Kelpian chip is about. I feel like these 2 episodes have been real jewels in this season, but, more to come. So I want to hear from all of you out there, however. What did you think of Terra Firma Part 2? Was it a worthy follow-up to Part 1? Did you like the reveal of the Guardian of Forever? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, of course, as always, to the Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for all of your help. I have kind of a depressed income right now, so any little bit is absolutely, really, truly helping. Thank you so much. Anyone else who wants to sign up at patreon.com/Kertrats, please, by all means, I'll have a link at the end and in the description below. But if you just watch the videos, that's fine too. These videos are free. They always will be. Nothing's going to change that. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.